Hi, your next challenge is entitled Convert to Hex. Create a function that takes a string's characters as ASCII and returns each character's hexadecimal value as a string. Let's look at the examples. With the input hello world, you'll notice a bunch of these two-digit characters, I guess. But they're hexadecimal values. You'll notice that you see the letter C here and the letter F there. Remember, the hexadecimal numbering system has its base 16, so that's why we go from through all the numbers up through 9 and then into A, B, C, D, E, F. So each of these, and notice you got 5 in hello, 5 letters, 5 in world, and then a space. So we have 11 characters in here. And if we count these up, it should be 11. Yep, 11. So remember, it includes spaces as well. As you see these 20s here, 20 there. Big boy, again, the hex representation of each character being printed out. The notes say that each byte must be separated by a space. As we see here, we don't want all these smashed together into one long number. And all alpha hex characters must be lowercase. Okay, we can accommodate that too. And feel free to examine this Marty Poppinson example if you'd like. We'll head over to code now. Please pause the video and make an honest attempt at this and resume when you're ready. Okay, I'm going to use some of my this handy link library. There's a lot of nice features. We're working with collections. We know that a string is a collection of characters. So what I'm going to do is, let's start by, let's call it hex collection for short. Remember, I can use just this general var keyword to specify a variable where the type is inferred. I don't have to write the type out here. So I'm going to take, we've got our input word. Let's take input word. By the way, this should be camel cased. You don't have to change that, but looks stupid in my opinion if you don't. And then we've got this select method, if you remember, that we can sort of transform the collection into something else. It grabs each element in turn and processes it into this new collection that we want. And what I'm going to do is, normally I use this ch for my variable name for a char. Remember, each element, each parameter that we get is going to be a character. And then let's go look at this. We've got this convert to byte method, which is quite handy for us. And that's going to convert the character into its number representation. And if you scroll down through the overloads, there are a lot. You'll notice there's one for a char. That's perfect for what we need. And they might have an example here. Yeah, here's one to byte. We want bytes. We want hexadecimal. We'll get to that, but yeah, you say convert dot, call the 2-byte, and you pass your character. So let's do that. Convert 2-byte characters. So now we've converted our character to a byte. And if you recall from the documentation, it's going to convert it to an integer. But look at, you can see we're going to continue with this example. Notice how they converted it to an integer first and then to string x4, and that's a hint. We're going to be doing the same thing, except we only want 2 digits in our example. Remember, each entry was 2 digits. So instead of x4, you can imagine we would pass x2. You can see in the example below, 4 is going to give you something like that. And that's what we want. So first we're going to get the byte, and then convert to hex. A string with the hex value is what we're doing. Converts value to... Let me check these overloads. Unsigned integer. Seeing if there's anything else that might help us a little bit more. That's fine. Okay, so at this point we've converted our character to some kind of number, the underlying number represented by this character. And then we saw we can go to string, and they used x4, but we only want 2 digits, so we're going to do this x2. And you can see that in... Here's another example with x4, and you can see their x4 format comes out with 4 digits. But yeah, here's that, what you can do with it. Oops. Byte. When you have a byte, you can call toString and format it however you like. In our case, we're doing x2. We want 2 hexadecimal characters. So just to make sure that this does what I'm claiming it will do, we can run a quick loop for each. These should be strings then, right? Because remember our last call, we had a character, we converted it to a byte, then to a string in hexadecimal. So this new collection that we made now, because the type is string, this is a collection of strings. And let's just say string word in hex collection, console, write line, word equals word. And we'll return some nonsense, and let's make sure that this collection populated like we expected it to. Cool, yeah, you can see we're on the right track, right? They were expecting this for the output, and you can see our words coming out, right? They match those: 42, 69, 67, 20, 42, 69. So that's good. That means we're definitely on the right track. So then the question is, how do you get it from this collection into a single string? And we've used a method like that in the past with the string class. Maybe you can recall it. If not, feel free to go look for it. Otherwise, I'll put it in. If we take a collection of strings, string has a method called join. And so, well, here, let's not do this. We can say return string join, and then you provide it a character or string for how you want the strings in your collection to be separated. So we could separate them. In our case, we want to do it with a space, right? That's what the instructions said, put a space between each. But it would be common, as you can imagine, to separate things with commas, tabs. You can really put in anything you want. But our case says space, and then we can give it our collection of strings there. And I think that covers it. We can run this to give it a check. Strings lengths are both failed. Let's see what we got. So no errors, but we failed. String lengths are both. What did I do? X16. Converted everything to hex. Oh, wait a second. I see what we did wrong. Do you remember what the instructions said? That they wanted lowercase letters, right? Expected 6F, and we have 6 capital F. So let's make sure for doing that. We got our hex string there. Let's see, string should have a method like toLower, right? If we've used that in the past. What if we do that? Yeah, good. Okay, so we know that the hex values could have numbers in there as well, a mix of numbers and letters, 0 to 9, A to F. And so the toLower method would just go lower on the letters. There's no such thing as a lowercase 2, so no problems there. It would just skip over it. Yeah, sorry about that. That was not quite clear. I couldn't quite tell from the failed test what had gone wrong, but yeah, they did mention they wanted the letters to be lowercase, so should have remembered that. Anyway, I hope that was clear. You see how we basically had this collection of characters. We grabbed the byte values, the underlying ASCII representations of these characters, and we said, hey, put that into a hexadecimal string, not just any string. You know, you commonly see toString with no parameter here, but we learned this new x2 parameter that will convert it to the hex value that we wanted. And then finally, given this big collection of strings that we could have, we said from the string class, call the join method, and join each of these with a space in between them. You could have put empty string if you wanted it all globbed together, but the instruction said they wanted a space, so we put that in. We gave it the collection to draw the values from. These print statements were just kind of there to let you see that the collection was made and not just have to believe that. And so yeah, I think that will sum this problem up. If you came up with something else, I'd love to see it. Otherwise, hit me up with questions, or we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.